Hi everybody, I'm going to show you how I did my snowflake for my kiddos. So I went to images and you can see I've already got snowflake typed in there. I also filtered by free because I wanted to look at the free images. I'm going to come down here and select this image, insert. So this one happens to have two layers and they're grouped. So I'm going to ungroup this so I can pull them apart. Now I can separate them. And for my project, I decided to work with the bulkier one because I'm going to have the students glue it down and add some things to it. So I'm actually going to delete that layer, pick this layer. I like to use the X and Y position up here and set them to 0 so that that will go right up there in my corner nice and neat. Then if I look at this, the proportions are not the same, and I like to work with even numbers, and I want to make it bigger while I'm working with it just to make it easier for me. So I'm going to make this 6 by 6. And it's still going to look a little distorted, but I'll fix that later. All right, so I'm going to lock it back by clicking up there on the little padlock. Now I want to slice it into 2 halves. So I'm going to insert a square. And that square, I'm going to pop it up in the corner like I did before. I've set my X and my Y to 0. You can drag it and put it up there. It's whatever way works better for you. Now, if I drag on this corner, I'll make it bigger or smaller, but I want this to be a rectangle. So to make it a rectangle, I unlock my proportions, and I can drag it until I get it where I want it. But again, if I want to have my numbers just right, up here, I can type them in. Since I had it 6 by 6 before, if I go 6 by 3, it's exactly half. So this is still selected. I can look over here. It's still shaded, so it's still selected. I want to also select my snowflakes. So I'm going to go Shift, click, and if I look over here, they're both selected. There are other ways to select everything. Do whatever works better for you. But now that I've got them both picked, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to hit Slice. So over here on the right, it shows my slice results. So if I pick that one, I can pull it out. It made an exact copy of the top half. I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to get rid of it. I can also, select the reverse or inverse, which you could do if you want something to drop out. Not going to need it. So I want to pick my bottom half, and I'm going to scoot it down. I'm going to just arrow down, or I could drag it down. Whatever works better for you, again, is always best to do. So I've given myself an inch here to work. And if I look up here on the position, it's dropped that down to the 4. So I know these are an inch apart now. Now I'm going to select my text. So what you're going to find is if you don't use all capital letters, when you put this up here and you try to attach it, some of your letters are going to attach and some of them aren't. And you've got to make sure before you weld this that they're overlapping a little bit. Simple letters are going to be a little easier to work with. Fancier letters a little harder to work with. And I'm going to do something later to talk about fixing letter spacing, but that'll be another video because that takes some time. If I want to change my font, I can go up here and hit Fonts. There's all. System will look at the fonts that I have in my computer. So I can look and see what I've got available that I might want to try. But if I pick something too fancy, like this one, some of those little pieces could be complicated, like this little part here on the H could drop out. So you've got to think about that when you're trying to connect all these things. I could do one that looks more like handwriting. But this one I'm going to have to work with a lot to do spacing. So again, that would probably be another video later on. I'm going to pick this one. And to make my letters a little thicker, I'm going to go bold, just to bulk them up a little bit. Alright, now if I stretch this out, trying to make it go across, it's too tall. So again, unlock the proportions. Now I can stretch it up this way as well. So when I pull, oh, not sure what it did right there. I want to make sure that it's overlapping a little bit. And my Y is not attached. So with my Y not being attached and my A not being attached here, I could play around with that a little bit to make them attach by ungrouping. And then I can move around individual letters. Like I could pop this Y up, and it'll still look like a Y, but maybe not quite as good. So I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to go back to my simple text. I'm just going to undo. So now we're back to where we're really simple. This is a lot easier to work with. I'm going to stretch it across. Unlock. So I can squeeze it up a little bit. I'm going to ungroup so I can grab that Y. And I know he would look better if he was down there, but I want him to attach so that he's got something to hang on to. I'm going to do the same thing with my A. Unlock the proportion so I can scoot him up. Make him touch just a little bit. Alright, now I think my H needs dragged down just a little bit. And I want him to look like an N. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is regroup my letters on the name. So those two. I'm going to select top of the snowflake, bottom of the snowflake, and I've got my letters selected. So if I look over here, everything's selected. I'm going to hit weld. So now I can see what my letters look like all attached together. I can look if there's any little errors. If I look right here on my T, where that's a double black line, that's going to end up slicing. So if I go back, here's my group that's my letters. I'm going to ungroup, grab that T, and scoot him up just a little bit more. Pop him back in there. Okay. Group my letters back. Grab my snowflake. Weld in. Now if I look, I can see everything's attached. That fixed that T. Alright, so my snowflake now, if I look at it, it's 6 by 7. I'm going to unlock it. I can make it 7 by 7. Check and see if I like that. Lock it back in place. Now if I resize it, everything is going to move together as one. And I can look at how that looks. I'm actually going to go with 4 by 4. We're going to call that good. In the next part, I'm going to talk about playing with fancier text and some tricks for that. And then I might talk about how to add a background. So I hope this helps somebody. Thank you if you've been listening to all of that.